Robert Burnaby. I'm the head instructor at Island Top Team, and I'm really honored to be here today to teach you guys. Thank you for coming in and working with me. It's a pleasure. I do my classes a little bit differently. I don't do a warm-up the way that most clubs do. I like to dive right into instruction and use technique to warm up. So those are kind of orders. Everyone here knows what an arm drag is? Yes? You might show me how you guys do your arm drags. Okay, so I'm going to go over a slightly different variation on the arm drag, which I learned from Marcelo Garcia and Ryan Hall. It's a little bit, let me just give a kind of again, crowded, because I don't want to yell. So we have kind of a teaching philosophy that we follow, which is based around the idea that there are three fundamentals in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Those fundamentals are posture, structure, and base. Everyone here knows what those three things are? What's base? Okay, so this is the thing, like a lot of people hear these terms like base and posture, but they don't know exactly what it is. So I like to get into like the underlying physical principles of what these things mean. And so, like, I apologize, I'm probably going to speak a little bit much about these things, but because I'm sort of new to you guys, I'm going to explain these concepts. So base is a platform from which to apply force. A lot of people boil base down to balance or just like inability to be swept. Okay, so like, I can't be swept right now, but is this great base? Not really, because I can't generate force. So if you think about it, translated for example to boxing, if I want to throw a punch, I need to derive power from my foot, into my leg, into my hip, through my whole body. That's good base. So base does not necessarily equal balance, but it equals the ability to generate force into your opponent, and it equals the ability to absorb force from your opponent. So if my opponent is trying to sweep me, I base out. If I need to drive force into my opponent, I derive power from the floor through my base. So base is simply effective contact with the ground. It's both mobile and stable. A lot of people don't know the difference. They think if I'm just hard to move, that I've got good base. But if I'm hard to move, sometimes that means I can't move. So good base is both mobile and stable. Posture is simply spinal alignment. So if, again, let's say, if I'm standing, if I'm weightlifting, if I'm doing a squat, if I go like this, that's not good posture. I would kill myself if I tried to do a squat like that. There's a principle called the kinetic chain, where all of your muscles working together allow you to generate the maximum amount of force. So the kinetic chain is when my muscles are uninterrupted in their function. If my posture is bent, which basically usually means bending someone's head in any direction, then the kinetic chain is interrupted because my spinal erectors are firing to try to keep my spine safe, so I can't connect the rest of my muscles together. So posture is that. Structure is simply your arms being aligned or your limbs being aligned in such a way to maximize their strength. So whatever your strength capacity is, like if my arms are way up here, you go to push my arms down, it's real easy. If my arms are in tight, you go to move my arms, it's really difficult. Same thing with legs. So another sort of fundamental breakdown with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is basically, it's frames and levers. So this is a lever. If you go to act on it, you're gonna have a tremendous mechanical advantage. But for example, if you're pushing on me, now this becomes a frame. So if you go to act on it, you can't have an effect. Does that make sense? So when we do the arm drag, we want to recognize how can we use it to affect posture, structure, and base, and how do we recognize what's a lever and what's a frame. So let's see on these. So if I go to arm dragging, and I go like this, right now we both have posture, we both have structure, and we both have base. So if you're stronger than me, you drag me, he's going to win. If I go to drag someone faster or stronger than you, this method, it's an equation. This is basically his row against my row. So if I'm a superior athlete, I'll succeed. If I'm an inferior athlete, I'll fail. It's that simple. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is not supposed to be about who's the superior athlete. It's supposed to be about who's got cleaner technique. So the modification we're going to work today is when you get your grip, there's two things you want to do. One is rather than grabbing right at the wrist, although sleeve or wrist is fine, but if you grab over the meat of the thumb, you'll be able to hinge the wrist, which disconnects the kinetic chain. If you kind of have flexions. Yeah. When I'm grabbing your wrist, I cannot affect that. When I fold it here, it disconnects the forearm muscles. So again, if you're doing this against a 220-pound dude, it's going to help you a lot if you can disconnect that kinetic chain. So once we've done that, Now, rather than again getting into a row against row situation, I'm going to punch his hand, his hip, and I'm going to grip at the elbow. So now he can't push against me because I'm setting a frame. So if you go to push back against me now, it should be physically impossible. My bone is not going to disintegrate from his extension of the shoulder. And I'm gripping. Now, I can hit my drag. Does that make sense? All right, so we're going to warm up with that motion. We're going to be kind of playing like first play. I get my grip, I punch towards the hip, I catch behind the elbow, my leg comes out, I kick. What that's going to do is it's going to create a pendulum effect that swings my body forward. So my body's coming forward now as I'm pulling backward, and I'm going to do a core rotation as I row. Here, I turn, that scoots me down behind him, allowing me to block his base, set my own base, and control his hip. So this is our final position. Hand, fingers inserted into the hip bone, elbow closed, knee and elbow connection. I want to put his hips in a box. I'll go over the details on why that's important later, but this is where we want to end up. You could be gripping the sleeve, there's all kinds of stuff you could be doing here, but let's just get to there. All right, so one more time. I catch the grip, I fold the hand, punch it towards the hip. As I do that, I'm reaching through 5 fingers. Those of you that have never done this, don't do it like this. Here, punch and catch. So I've broken his structure by doing this. Now I'm going to take him out of base, and then he's going to recover his base immediately, obviously, because he's good. And then we're going to work on attacking from that position. All right? So pair up whatever you like, and let's get to it. Thank you for bearing with me on the speechifying.